Nice of you to drop in.
Hello people, I am the Real Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 5 favorite superhero siblings in comics. So yeah, again, this is all my opinion, so if you disagree, it's fine, this is my opinion. So anyways, let's get into it. Number 5 is Thomas Wayne Jr. The reason he's at number 5 is because it's not proven if he is Bruce Wayne's actual brother, but he does say some things that lean toward that a lot. He claims to be his brother, and some things definitely line up with him being his brother, but it's one of those situations like Joker's identity to where it'll never be revealed, but it kind of just hangs there, and that's a really cool element to Batman's character. But Scott Snyder introduced this aspect in Court of Owls, where we saw that in Volume 2, because in Volume 1 of Court of Owls, we saw that it was this guy called Lincoln Mark, and he came in, and he's this really cool character. Him and Bruce were best buds. And then in Volume 2, we see that, oh, well, you know, this guy's actually a crazy supervillain. He was sort of behind the Court of Owls all along, except at the same time he wasn't. It's just something I'm not going to get into. But anyways, he claimed to be Bruce Wayne's brother, but we never found out if he was, because he kind of just disappeared at the end of it. And yeah, he's just a really cool character, and we don't know if he is Bruce Wayne's brother, but there's definitely some evidence that could lean towards that. Anyways, he's a really cool character, and I loved him in the whole Court of Owls storyline. Number 4 is Alex Summers, aka Havoc, who is the brother of Cyclops. Now, these two have a very interesting relationship. They don't get along too well, and they've even had some cool fights, such as the one in Uncanny X-Men issue 339, where Havoc is hunting down J. Jonah Jameson, and he tears like the roof off of the jet that Jameson's in, and so Cyclops tackles him. Because them fighting against each other doesn't work, like their energies cancel each other out, so they can hit each other all day with their different energy blasts, but it doesn't make a difference because it cancels each other out, so they can't hurt each other that way. So they get physical, tackles them off the plane, they're falling, and they have some really good dialogue, and it's a pretty cool fight, as cool as they can be when they're just plain falling. And during that, Havoc's just like, you know, I'm tired of being controlled by someone, you know, no one has an influence over me anymore, I'm not being controlled anymore, for once I'm, you know, it's me controlling, because Havoc's had some problems controlling his powers, not just that, but he's been mind controlled and stuff before, so he's kind of sick of the X-Men at this point. So during this, he's just like, I'm finally in control of myself, I know what I'm doing now. And that's sort of the whole point that's going on there. And then he just teleports to leave Scott to die, but Storm comes and gets Scott before he falls to his death. Anyways, Havoc's just a really cool character, and him and Scott have a very interesting relationship. Number 3 is Ocean Master, who is the brother of Aquaman. Now, this guy is not a big Aquaman fan, but he's a really awesome character. He's one of Aquaman's villains, and I love them in Flashpoint especially, because they teamed up and were just like, we're gonna take on the seas, and we're gonna, you know, take over the entire world. And that was really cool, because, you know, normally they're you know, Aquaman's the hero, Ocean Master's the villain, but in that they were both so more villainous, and I like seeing those two together. That was awesome. But in the mainstream universe, they're great as well. And Ocean Master to me has one of the coolest villain designs. I just love the way he looks. He looks awesome, especially when you got some great artists doing them, just such as Ivan Reis, who did it for the Justice League book when he appeared and he started a whole war. He's just a really cool, like, not creepy, but like very dangerous Aquaman villain. People don't give Aquaman enough credit for the villains he fights. It's not just Black Manta. Black Manta's awesome as well, but it's not just Black Manta. It's just people like Ocean Master, who's just a really awesome, great character. Number 2 is Juggernaut, who is the half-brother of Professor X. Now, these two sort of have a love-hate relationship. Occasionally, they'll like each other. Majority of the time, they're not on the same side. But in World War Hulk, there's a really cool moment in the World War Hulk X-Men spinoff where Professor X is being hunted by Hulk. Hulk's coming after him just like he did to a ton of other Marvel heroes, and he's going after Professor X, and no one can stop him. Like, Wolverine gets thrown like 10 miles about 5 separate times. Like, every time Wolverine comes, Hulk just takes him and throws him, and then like everyone else doesn't really stand a chance. He like bends Colossus's arms to where like they're completely broken. Just no one's standing a chance. So Juggernaut goes, and he is taking on Hulk and doing a good job of it. Like, he's beating Hulk up, but then Professor X is like, Juggernaut, stop, you're damaging the mansion, like the whole mansion's gonna come down if you two keep fighting. And while he's distracted, Hulk takes Juggernaut and throws him, because I think that Hulk knew he could not beat him. Juggernaut was like the one person he knew he couldn't beat, so he just takes him and throws him after that, because he's like, yeah, might as well just throw this guy. I'm not gonna stand a chance just punching him. And so he threw him like really far away, and Juggernaut did not come back after that. But after that, Professor X goes to Juggernaut and says, I'm really thankful for what you did. And Juggernaut looks at him and says, I didn't do it for you, because earlier Juggernaut is without the stone. Juggernaut's actually not actually a mutant. He has this stone that powers him. So when he's talking to the stone / gem of Satorak, I think is how you pronounce it. But anyways, when he's talking to that, he's just like, why am I so weak? It's like, because you're resisting me, because this stone like possesses you and it makes you crazy. And so he's like, the reason you're not as powerful is because of the reason you're here. And he's like, I'm here to save my brother, Professor X. He says, no, you're not. You're here. Tell me why you're really here. And he's like, I'm here to show Hulk that I'm the best there is, that I'm the strongest there is. And yeah, that just showed bottom line how Juggernaut is, and he's a really cool villain and just an overall great character. Number 1 is Barney Barton, who is the brother of Hawkeye. Now, Hawkeye and Clint Barton, they grew up together. Obviously, they're brothers, and their parents, well, their dad just beat on them a lot. So one day they're just like, okay, I'm gonna leave home. We're done with this. So they leave. They go to these carnies, and they grew up in the carnival together. These carnies taught them all this different stuff, and they both grew up like that. They led different paths though, because obviously Hawkeye's led to the Avengers. Barney's led to him just going around, sort of being a drifter. He's generally a good guy. He's not really a bad guy, but sometimes some of the stuff he does is questionable. But he's a very sort of raggedy guy, and I love when these two are together. Like in Volume 4 of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run, Barney Barton shows up, and it's great. Like these two, how their relationship, I loved how he developed that. Like Matt Fraction is my favorite Hawkeye writer, just like a lot of other people, but Clint Barton and Barney Barton and that, like, they're just great. I love those two when they're together. They're just great characters. And one of the things I thought was really cool was when Hawkeye is doing something, he's just like, he's talking about how he learned to fight and stuff, and he's like, Cap taught me to fight, Barney taught me how to hurt. And I was like, okay, that's just kind of awesome, because they're in this situation where they're both tied up, and he sees Barney's eyes, and he's like, oh, Barney's gonna hurt someone. Barney just breaks out and starts beating the crap out of all these guys. And Barney's a lot more physical guy than Hawkeye, but Hawkeye's more skilled. And yeah, they got a great relationship, and I love those two. Anyways, that's the end of the list. Please let me know in the comments below, what are your guys' top 5 favorite superhero siblings, because these are mine. I want to know your guys', and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.